What if the prophecies in Daniel and Revelation are revealing the rise and fall of world empires right before our eyes? From Nebucadnezzar's dream to the reality of modern nuclear tensions, tonight this eye-opening episode with Michael Rood traces how Scripture foretold the course of civilization thousands of years ago.
These are the cosmocratos, or the world rulers, and exactly what they are going to be doing in the last days. And the book of Daniel tells us what is going to happen in the last days. And so as we get into this, we are going to go into the conspiracy of the cosmocratos, because Daniel saw in this interpretation the New World Order.
Hey, Torah fans, I am taking off the jacket here in the Shabbat Night Live studio because it's hot in here. It's summer. And that's par for the course in a broadcast studio in summer. You know what else is par for the course in summer? Something that's not a good thing, and that is people forget to give. They go on vacation and our funds drop, and we have to look at hard decisions, which we don't want to do. So I'm asking you, I'm appealing to you, I'm just asking you as a friend, would you support A Rood Awakening through the summer? I know you still want to go on vacation, you want to do all those fun things, do those things. But please don't forget about us. We really need the funding throughout the summer. We need consistent funding to keep bringing you the programs that we're doing. This doesn't happen by osmosis. It doesn't happen with AI. There's real people behind the scenes doing stuff here. And there's real expenses with doing that kind of stuff to give you the quality things that you can bring to other folks to teach them about your faith. So it's an important thing. I thank you for doing the important thing and giving to A Rood Awakening International. There's the information on the bottom of the screen. Thank you in advance for doing it all through the summer. Not everybody does, but I know we can count on you. So thank you. Well, there you are. What a week it's been. Shabbat Shalom, Torah fans. It's the end of the sixth day. The sun has set, and this is Shabbat Night Live. And in case you missed it last week, Michael Rood is back. Yes, we've got a classic series continuing tonight from way back in 2013. This is From Here to Eternity. Remember that one? Infamous series. And a brand new extensive interview with Michael Rood, an hour long. That is for the Love Gift. It's available this month only. Let's talk about it with the man himself, Michael Rood.
Well, thanks, Scott. Good to be here.
Good to be here. Yes, sir. Good to have you. And this month's Love Gift is full of all kinds of cool things. We've got a bag that celebrates freedom, along with a flag that people can put in their yard. And here's a picture of it. They get that thing. In addition to the interview with you, we had a ton of fun doing that. And then we're also giving them a bag of the Healing Leaves tea.
Oh, that's good.
From Jordan Rubin, yep.
Yeah.
And then a little nightlight thing that we developed and had it specially made. No one else can get it.
Yeah, I wanted everyone to be able to get the Healing Leaves that Jordan put out, because he healed himself of stage 4 cancer with this biblical recipe.
Right. And now we should say that he had other things going on too. He actually credits prayer as the biggest thing, but this was a vital part of it. So much, in fact, that he bought, 600,000 trees, fruit trees, and planted them on his land to make this tea.
That's right.
He literally did it on his own land.
And now we can take advantage of that.
Yep.
Everybody can. And I want to introduce everyone to his Healing Leaves, to the biblical concept of this great provision.
And it's in Ezekiel and Revelation, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
right? The healing of the trees or the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations.
That's right. It's in both places.
Okay. And that's what the light that we have for this month's Love Gift too, it talks about the tree of life from Revelation.
Oh,
so it's all very themed together. But speaking of themes and this month's Love Gift, so one of the questions I asked you in that Love Gift teaching, that interview, was about your time in Two Harbors, Minnesota. And we went there, you and me and Emmert and the team, and we talk about that in the episode. But you talked about buying the theater. Tell me about buying the theater.
Yes. I went to the town hall, and I found out that the local theater was owned by a guy down in Minneapolis. I don't think he was a Somali.
Okay.
I don't think so. No.
Not like today's Minneapolis.
No.
Okay, all right.
No. And he drove up, and it was white Harley Davidson.
Oh.
And I said, I want to buy the theater. And he said, what do you want it for? And I told him that I wanted to do ministry there. And he said, I said to him, I don't have any money though. And he said, what? You don't have any money? What do you want to do this for? And I said, for ministry. And he said to me, can you afford $1? I said, no, but I can get one. I can get one. And he said, if you can get $1, you can have it.
So you had nothing.
That's right. And I had it for two years. I owned the theater from him for $1.
Wow. That's a blessing. That guy was obviously sent to you from Yehovah.
That's where I did the first calendar. Up and down the aisles of the theater. I laid it all out in there by with a copier that was donated to me.
Wow.
And that's where that came from.
Wow. Yehovah really made a way there, didn't he? Everything was just sort of just came to you.
Yes, it was.
That's when you know what you're meant to do.
It was perfect.
Wow, that's just awesome. Love that. So that's this month's Love Gift teaching. You'll see all of that and lots more. We talk about Michael's days in the Marines and all that, and we actually have some video, not of Michael himself in the Marines, but some video of the training. Actually, Michael, you don't even know we found this. Training videos from the 1970s at Paris Island. Boot camp.
Oh, that's why I wanted to go to Paris Island, because I saw that video.
Really?
Yeah, that was it.
The training video.
And so that was my favorite time.
Amazing.
In boot camp.
And we also found from California, you went to San Onofre as well.
Yeah.
To become, you were training on mortars, right?
Yeah.
We found mortar training videos from San Onofre.
Oh, really?
From the 70s.
Well, I was there for that.
Yeah, you're going to have to watch this video now. All kinds of stuff you didn't know was in there.
Yeah, I guess so. That'd be a real treat.
All righty. Well, it's a real treat if you get it too. It's available only this month, so make sure you get it, okay? It's a special interview we've done with Michael.
They get the healing leads
that too.
And the video.
That's right.
Yeah, they get both of those things.
That's right. That's why people need to get this. There's the information on the bottom of the screen. Make sure you get this month's love gift. And now, tonight, from Nebuchadnezzar's dream to the reality of modern nuclear tensions, this eye-opening episode with Michael Rood explains how the books of Daniel and Revelation work together to help believers understand current events and prepare for what lies ahead.
When the resurrected saints are gathered together on the sea of fire and glass for the 10 days of awe, the 10 days of inspection, and then getting dressed for the marriage supper of the Lamb, we wait to hear if our name is called into the marriage supper of the Lamb, into the Mishkan in heaven, where Yeshua will sit at the head of the table, where, as John says, he sees the Ark of the Covenant, the throne of Yeshua, and he is sitting on it. And we go into the marriage supper of the Lamb, and this is when Yeshua's promise is finally fulfilled. He told his disciples on the night of the Last Supper, when he blessed the Most High with the prayer of the Melech Tzaddik, Baruch atah Yehovah, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. He said, this is my body which is broken for you. I am your provision. By my stripes you will be healed. And then Yeshua, as he took his cup and he passed it around to his disciples, he said, I will not drink this again till I drink it with you in my Father's kingdom. The marriage supper of the Lamb, Yeshua will take his cup and he will say again, this represented and still represents the renewing of the covenant that offered to make you priests and kings. I paid the death penalty. I paid the price for the broken covenant. And now you get to drink with me in my Father's kingdom. You are the ones that are going to live and reign with me upon the earth for 1,000 years because I paid the price. until the marriage supper of the Lamb. We do this in remembrance of him. Shabbat Shalom. To understand the stripping of the seven seals, we go right back to the beginning of the book of the Revelation, where Yeshua is speaking to Yohanan, and he says, write the things which you have just seen, the things which are now, which are the letters to the seven kahilah, or assemblies in Asia Minor, and the things which shall be thereafter, in the future. And we read in chapter 4, verse 1, it says, and after this, after the letters that are then delivered to the seven assemblies, after this I looked and I saw a door open in heaven. The first voice I heard sounded like a trumpet speaking with me. It said, come up here and I will show you things which shall be hereafter, or in the future. And so now we step into that third phase of what Yeshua told Yohanan to write. And the first is the scene in the throne room. In chapter 4, verse 2, immediately I was taken up in the spirit, and I beheld a throne in the heavens, and he who sat on the throne. It is literally, he saw the throne room and he who sat on the throne. And in chapter 5, verse 1, after that scene in the throne room, which is so incredible, that just one entire chapter to describe the glory of the Almighty in the heavens. And then chapter 5, verse 1, I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a scroll that was written inside. But on the outside it was sealed with seven seals. Then a mighty angel proclaimed with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scroll and to loose the seals thereof? But no man in heaven, nor in the earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the scroll and look therein. I wept desperately. No man was found worthy to open and to read the scroll, nor even to look therein. But then we're told that after he is weeping uncontrollably before the throne, there was no hope. All was lost. And then the angel cried out, behold, the Lamb of God, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed, and he alone is worthy to open, to take that scroll and to rip the seals off it. And at that point, everybody hits the deck in the throne room as Yeshua walks in, and he takes that scroll from the hand of he who sits on the throne. And now the first seal, chapter 6, verse 1, I watched the Lamb strip the first seal, and I heard the deafening sound of thunder as one of the four beasts shouted, go! I saw a white horse. He who sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to completely vanquish. See, that scroll in the hand of the Almighty that no one had the authority to strip the seals from. We are going to see this again replayed as Yeshua is confronted by Hasatan in the wilderness, in which he said, all the wealth, the power, and the glory of this world has been delivered to me. Whosoever I will, I give it. Nobody could take it legally. It was bound with Satan's authority. He, as the God of this age, who has dominion in this earth, and before the throne to accuse a brother night and day, he has that legal right until it is stripped from him. And when Yeshua rips these seals off from the title deed of this world, then we see the events that play out upon planet Earth as finally Satan is then, and we go into chapter 12, cast down from the earth, knowing he has but a short time, and he goes out to persecute those who have the testimony of Yeshua Messiah and keep the commandments. And he is absolutely furious with them, and he goes out to then attack and to put out the woman, and it says that his duration is a time, times, and half of a time. Same thing we read in the book of Daniel, time, times, and a half a time, 1,260 days, 3.5 years, 42 months. All these equate to the very same thing, and we have the foundation of this in the book of Daniel. So tonight, we're going to go into the rise of the Cosmocratorus. Cosmos, which is world, Krateros, world rulers. And this is where it all begins, because atheists hope against all that their senses tell them about the physical universe. They hope that the incomprehensible intricacies of our bodies and the marvels of mental reasoning and the unknown property of life itself is a result of millions of years of aberrant chance mutations in a purely mechanical universe. Against the laws and verifiable facts of science, they hold to the scientifically untenable, mathematically impossible, geologically insupportable, philosophically unlivable, theologically inconceivable, and intellectually unsubstantiatable fairy tale of the evolutionary genesis of life. This is an act of extreme faith. Evolution is the religion of those who refuse to open their eyes to scientific fact and the cause of our one-time existence in this universe, which is God Almighty. Where there is no God, there are no God-given rights, only civil rights granted by the mercies of the government. Atheist socialists conquered our government and are polluting the minds of our children through the fallacious and deceptively presented theory of evolution. You need to educate yourself and your children before the ability to think for and govern ourselves is lost forever to the New World Order. There's no time to let our children discover themselves that Santa Claus does not really exist. You need to plainly tell them that the promulgation of the religions of evolution, atheism, and socialism is the battle plan of totalitarian slave masters. And this is perfectly and beautifully put forth in the second Psalm, and we're going to read about prophetically what the Almighty indicated to Nebuchadnezzar, who was the ruler on planet Earth, who controlled all of Babylon, and we read about this in Daniel chapter 2 and verse 1. Please, everyone, take your Bibles and turn to this most auspicious prophetic chapter in the Bible. It tells us that it was the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar when he dreamed a dream wherewith his spirit was troubled and his sleep broke from him. And so the king commanded that all the magicians, astrologers, sorcerers, and the Chaldeans, which, these are the wisest in the kingdom, they were going to come to show the king what his dream was all about. So they came and stood before the king, and the king said that, verse 3, I've dreamed a dream, and my spirit is troubled. I need to know the dream. And so he spoke to the Chaldeans, and they spoke to the king in Syriac, and said, O king, live forever. Tell your servants a dream, and we'll tell you the interpretation. But the king answered, and he said, the thing's gone from me. I don't remember it. But if you will not make known unto me the dream and the interpretation, I am going to cut you in little bitty pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. And that's literally what they did. This is not just a biblical expression. They turned their home into the public latrine. All right? And after it was completely used up and destroyed, then it was completely torn down. All right? So it was the ultimate insult against anyone if their houses was made a dunghill or the public latrine. And he said, but if you show me the dream and the interpretation, I'm going to reward you with great honor, and you're going to receive many gifts. And in verse 7, they said again to the king, well, tell us the dream and we'll tell you the interpretation. And the king responded, I'm not going to tell you the dream or the interpretation. You're just trying to gain some time. You're just going to make it up. I know how Dionne Warwick's Psychic 1-900 hotline works. You people are not going to pull that stuff over on me. All right? I'm going to tell you what it says. I'm going to tell you what the dream is, and you're going to just make it up. I know, I've been listening to people my whole life. I'm telling you, if you can't tell me the dream, I'm going to cut the budget. I'm going to kill you. I'm feeding all you people, and I'm tired of feeding you. And they said, never in the history of the human race has any king asked anyone to tell them the dream and to interpret it. It says, shut up. I'm going to kill you. You either do it or it's over with. And verse 12, for this cause the king was angry, furious. He commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. The decree went forth that the wise men should be slain. And so they started looking for Daniel and his companions. They don't know anything about this, and they're hunting them down now. He is absolutely furious. And then, in verse 14, Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, and because he was the one that was sent forth to slay him. And so Daniel said, let me talk to the king about this. And so Daniel went in and desired of the king, verse 16, that he would give him a little bit of time and he would show the king the interpretation. And so Daniel got together with his household, which is Belteshazzar, that was Daniel's Babylonian name, and then Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael are his household companions. They also had some Babylonian names, didn't they? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, okay? All their Hebrew names had the name of the Almighty in them, but now their pagan names have the pagan names of pagan gods in them. And that's part of what they would do, give them a pagan name to answer to their pagan gods. And so what they did is that they prayed all night, and they got no answer. Finally, Daniel fell asleep, and he got a vision. And in this vision, he saw the answer. And so now, verse 25, Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste. And he says, I found a man of the captains of Judah who will make known to the king the interpretation. And Daniel answered, verse 27, the presence of the king, and said, the secret which the king has demanded, the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and soothsayers cannot know. But there's a God in heaven that reveals secrets and makes known to the king what shall happen in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions upon your bed are these. And this is what the dream is. Verse 31, thou, O king, saw a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee. The form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, the breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. It's not just clay, it's baked clay. What is baked clay? It's ceramic. What does ceramic look like? Whatever you want ceramic to look like. And then you saw that until a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them into pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor, and the wind carried them away, and there was no place found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and now I'm going to tell you the interpretation. You, O king, are a king of kings. For the God of heaven, in verse 37, hath given thee a kingdom and power and strength and glory, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and fowls of the heaven hath he given unto your hand, and hath made thee the ruler over all them. You are this head of gold. After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as iron breaks in pieces and subdues all things, and as iron that breaks in pieces, it shall break in pieces and bruise. And whereas you saw the feet and toes, part of baked clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet, which were part of iron and part of baked clay, so shall the kingdom be partly strong and partly brittle. And then we're going to go to verse 44. And in the days of these kings, in which it's speaking of in verse 43, you saw the iron mixed with baked clay. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in these days shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. And so, just as you saw this, in verse 45b, it says, the great God hath made known to the king, which shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation is sure. Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face. He commanded that they should offer oblation and sweet odors, incense, essential oils to Daniel. And it says that he made Daniel a great man, verse 48, made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon. And Daniel was made a very great and a very wealthy man, and his companions were put over the affairs of Babylon, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. In this image that he saw, the gold head, Nebuchadnezzar, the gold head is Babylon. After that, the Medes and the Persians came and they conquered Babylon. After that, then Alexander the Great came in, and he is the one that conquered Media Persia, and the Greeks took over, and then after that, the Roman Empire. And then the residue, the remains of the Roman Empire, is the last empire that still goes down to the modern days, in which now we have 10 toes. Now, they're part iron and part of baked clay or ceramic. It looks like the real thing, but the toes are just a facade. Because under those toes, behind those toes, is that iron. And that iron stands alone, and the clay toes, or the baked clay or ceramic, is what is destroyed in the end. And it's destroyed by what? By a stone that's cut out without hands, that smites the image, and then it fills up the entire earth. That is the kingdom of the Messiah. And these are the cosmocratorос, or the world rulers, and exactly what they are going to be doing in the last days. And the book of Daniel tells us what is going to happen in the last days. And so as we get into this, we are going to go into the conspiracy of the cosmocratoros, because Daniel saw in this interpretation the New World Order, or the kingdoms of men over the centuries. But in the last generation, we see that there are really no world governments after Rome. Genghis Khan tried to do it, Napoleon, Hitler, Hirohito, they all tried for their one world government, and all of them failed. But the last of the remnants of the Roman Empire, and this is what we're looking at even in the United States today, you take a look at the people that make up the United States today, they are all coming out of the Roman Empire of Europe, and are all over on this side of the pond at this point. But yet the background, everything that we are composed of today, comes from Greece through Rome, and now we're seeing the final manifestation of that to this very day.
Hey, Torah fans, no jacket for me right now. We're in the Shabbat Night Live studios, and it's warm in here, and that's kind of par for the course for summer. What else is par for the course is people tend to forget to give to their favorite ministry, and hopefully we are your favorite ministry. I mean, go on vacation, do all those fun things, but please don't forget to give to us. We have people here working throughout the summer. We need to support those folks, do what they're doing, get this message out so that you can teach other folks about what Michael Rood has always taught you, and hopefully brought some truth in your life. So bring truth to others by giving to A Rood Awakening International. Please and thank you. Hey, Torah fans, Michael Rood always says he wants to give back to those who give to this ministry, and is he ever giving back this month? Oh my goodness. We sat down for a whole hour interview with Michael Rood. He told us his whole life story. This is so cool. You won't get this anywhere else. He's never said these things anywhere else. You won't get it on YouTube. You won't get it anywhere else. You can get it on the app. You can get it streaming on this month's Love Gift, or you can get it in DVD or Blu-ray as well. That is Michael's gift back to you for saying thank you for supporting us. Plus, with a Love Gift donation of $100 or more, we'll give you Service and Spirit, this teaching with Michael Rood, plus an exclusive tote bag and yard flag to commemorate freedom in Yeshua. Take a look at this. It features 2 Corinthians, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Plus, with a gift of $300 more, you'll get all of that, plus a bag of Michael Rood's favorite Healing Leaves tea, created by Jordan Rubin, and a custom desktop LED nightlight featuring Revelation 2:7 in celebration of eternity's tree of life. It's just this month only. Only in July can you get this. So Celebrate freedom with Michael Rood. Get the love gift this month. There's the information on the bottom of the screen. Remember, it all ends July 31st, so get it now.
In Luke chapter 4, verse 5, is what I was quoting earlier. As we read in Luke chapter 4, verse 5, and the devil, taking Yeshua up into a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I give it. If you therefore wilt worship me, all will be thine. Yeshua said, get behind me, Satan. He did not challenge his jurisdiction. He didn't say all the wealth, the power, the glory of this world was not given to you, because he knew it was delivered into his hands. He knew that whoever bows the knee to Hasatan, Lucifer, Lucis, will get a piece of the action. But he says, I'm not doing it. There have always been men who have sold their soul and worshiped to Satan. In return, he's made sure that all the power, the wealth, and the glory of this world has stayed in the hands of those who have pledged their allegiance to the God of this age. These Luciferians believe that their God is to become the ruler of the New World Order and will bring in an age of peace and prosperity. They have a plan, but the question is, who are they? We read about this in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. The word principalities says arches. These are primary powers. Against exousia, the exercise of exousia, or exercise authority, and it's exercise from the author of that authority, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. In Greek, against the kosmokratoros. These are literally dark world rulers, evil world rulers, against spiritual wickedness in the heavenlies. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in that evil day, and having to done all to stand. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are. We are coming up on the time in which they are putting their vice around the neck of every free thinking person on this planet. They are forcing us into their Novus Ordo Seclorum, into their mark of the beast. Without it, you cannot buy, you cannot sell. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of this earth set themselves. The rulers of the earth take counsel together against Jehovah and against his anointed. See, it's a conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. There's such thing as conspiracy theories because you don't see how evil men are conspiring. You can see the outworking of it, and you have theories about what they're trying to do. That's only honest. It's cause and effect. We have turned our back upon our commitment to stand under God-given rights and authorities, and it's all going to hell in a handbasket. So don't be surprised. The rulers of this earth have conspired together, and you are in their death grip. But they say, let us break their bands asunder, cast their cords away from us. It says, he that sits in the heavens is going to laugh at them. He's going to have them in absolute derision. Then he's going to speak to them in his wrath, vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. And I will declare the decree. Yahweh said to me, you are my son, this day have I begotten you. Ask of me, my son, and I will give you the heathen for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. You shall be a stone cut without hands, who strikes this new world order, this one world government on the feet, and you're going to destroy them and shatter them, and that mountain is going to fill the entire earth. So, be wise now, O ye kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve Yahweh with fear. Rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. But blessed are all those that put their trust in him. Conspiracy? Ah, yes, conspiracy. It is the nature of fallen man to conspire together to do evil, to promote themselves. We see that at the Tower of Babel, what was the word? Let us. Let us. It's a conspiracy. They joined together, and it is against the true God. We see that Delilah and her cohorts conspired together against Samson. We see, it's all through the scriptures. How about the Pharisees? In Matthew 26, verse 3, we read that the chief priests and scribes and elders assembled together and consulted on how they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. Is this a conspiracy? These are the very words. Assembled together, consulted on how they might subtly, behind the scenes, take him and kill him. That's conspiracy, people. To say there's no conspiracy, you've got to be a complete moron. Yeah, there's no conspiracy, Mr. Limbaugh. Go back to sleep and vote for the Republicans. They're going to save America all alone. Well, I am not going to take you into every last tentacle of the New World Order. I'm going to go back 20 years ago when, after taking a look at these things, 20, 30, 50 years ago, and see what the plan of the Cosmocratorus, these world rulers, is, after that you can see, okay, this is where they're going. But yet the scripture told us over 2,000 years ago where this thing is going. So I'm not going to waste my time with these idiots, okay? Let's take a look. David Rockefeller Sr. at the 1991 meeting of the Globalist Alliance made in Germany, and this was the first Bilderberger meeting that Bill Clinton was introduced at. He said, "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and have respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodetermination practiced in past centuries." It says for 40 years, the Washington Post, New York Times, and Time Magazine have conspired together with us to keep this a secret. John Swinton, who's a former chief of staff of the New York Times, in his toast to the New York Press Club in 1953 said, "There is no such thing at this date in the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it and I know it. There is not one of you who dares to write his honest opinions, and even if you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinions out of the paper that I'm connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you who would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out on the streets looking for another job. The business of the journalist is to destroy truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of mammon, and to sell his country and his race for his daily bread. You know it, I know it, and what folly is this toasting an independent press? We are the tools and vassals for rich men behind the scenes. We are the jumping jacks, they pull the strings and we dance. We are intellectual prostitutes." This is 1953, people. Do you think it's gotten cleaner? No, this whole thing is so set up. If you think it's clean, you're a fool. Thomas Jefferson said that single acts of tyranny can be ascribed to the accidental opinion of a day, but a series of oppressions begun at a distinguished period and pursued unalterably through every change of administration too plainly proves a deliberate, systematic plan of reducing us to slavery. This is Jefferson. And he was seeing it in his day. He was part of the plan, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Jefferson did speak of God and God-given rights, but he also took a penknife and cut out all the scriptures that spoke of any miraculous events because he didn't believe in the Yeshua that I know. He had a made-up fairy tale Jesus, the same made-up fairy tale, well, a different one. I mean, every denomination has their own fairy tale Jesus, their own celestial Santa Claus. They don't read what he spoke. They don't study what he said. They don't do what he did. They just tell sweet baby Jesus stories. Oh, yes, I like the 8-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus. Another one likes the 3-year-old baby Jesus. Another one likes the 12-year-old Jesus. You know, everyone's got their own Jesus made up in their own mind. Now, let's take a look at the Council on Foreign Relations. This is the non-attribution clause from the Council on Foreign Relations. The dissolution of all national governments and the melding into a one world government is the New World Order. Walt Russell of the CFR said, it is in the American interest to put an end to nationhood. Adlai Stevenson, who is a member of the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, whose symbol is a man riding a white horse with his hand in an upward gesture, which is the symbol of the Masonic 33rd degree. It is the sixth blessing of the New World Order, and the same thing that Napoleon is painted with his pictures of that same symbol of the Illuminati. And he said the UN program calls for total elimination of national capacity to make international war. So there's got to be something that is bigger than than the military of the United States. Nobody can make international war anymore. Carol Quigley, now this is Clinton's professor at Georgetown University. He said the Council on Foreign Relations is the American branch of a society which originated in England and believes national boundaries should be obliterated and one world rule established. Now this is the professor that is the hero of Bill Clinton, okay? So we're going back 20-some years here. My main disagreement with the CFR is that they desire to remain anonymous. That's all he disagrees with. He wants a one-world government. What was Bill Clinton in there for? Why was he at the Bilderberger meeting? Why is he a member of the CFR? One world government, people. Do not think that these men are honest.
Hey, Torah fans, no jacket for me today in the studio because it is hot in here, but that is par for the course in South Carolina when you are doing this kind of thing. You know what else is par for the course is people forget to give to their favorite ministry. Now, hopefully we're your favorite ministry, and we pray that you continue to support us through the summer. There's folks here all summer doing the work that we do all year long, getting the message out so that you can take those materials and hopefully teach other people that we'll never get to about the truth of Yeshua. So thank you for continuing to give through the summer. We really need it. We really appreciate it. Please and thank you.
So our job is to get the gospel of the kingdom out to the world, as long as we have a voice to do it, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to quit playing games because there's not a whole lot of time. Those of you out there sitting on your bankrolls thinking that your money's going to save you, it's going to be worth absolute hockey foddy before this is over. Oh my goodness. John Rankin, U.S. Congressman, said the United Nations is the greatest fraud in all of history. Its purpose is to destroy the United States. Rowan Gaither, the president of the Ford Foundation, testified before Congress in 1954, 2 years after I was born. We operate here, Ford Foundation, under the directives which emanate from the White House. The substance of the directives under which we operate is that we shall use our grant-making power to alter life in the United States so that we can comfortably merge with the Soviet Union. One world government, ladies and gentlemen. United Nations World Constitution, quote, The age of nations must end. The governments of the nations have decided to order their separate sovereignties into one government to which they surrender their arms. Henry Kissinger, National Security Advisor under Nixon, said, today Americans would be outraged if UN forces entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow they will be grateful. He's part of the plan, Council on Foreign Relations. Oh, my goodness. Oh, James Warburg. This is Rothschild's agent who testified before the U.S. Senate in 1950, 2 years before I was born. We shall have world government whether we like it or not. The only question is whether world government will be achieved by conquest or by consent. Consent may take another generation, but not with what we see in the book of the Revelation. It was Baron Rothschild who said that, he's the primary owner of the Federal Reserve System and the World Bank. See, the Federal Reserve is not anything to do with America. It is a consortium of world bankers. It's not stationed. It's not here in the United States. As a matter of fact, we have been in receivership to the Federal Reserve System. And everyone's birth certificate who's born in America is on a banknote because the U.S. government is given so much money by the World Bank when you are born because of your future earnings. That's what's going on in this country. Everyone here is in hock to the world bankers. And Baron Rothschild said, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws. As James Garfield, the president, said, whoever controls the volume of money in any country is absolute master of all industry and commerce. Thomas Jefferson, again, our second president, wrote, I believe that the banking institutions are far more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Already they have raised up a moneyed aristocracy that has set the government in defiance. The issuing power for money should be taken from the banks and restored to the people, to whom it properly belongs. And that's what he did. He took it out of the hands of the world bankers back then. Then he said, if the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent that their fathers conquered. And that is why the national parks in America are now international biospheres. They've been sold to the world bankers. That's why major portions of what were once our national resources are closed off. Americans can't get in there anymore. Go up to Cherokee National Forest, and it's no longer Cherokee National Forest. They've shut the thing down under so many different guises, but it doesn't belong to the American people anymore. It belongs to the international bankers. Our freeways and tollways are being sold to foreign nations. We are paying tolls that the money goes to China and other countries now in America. Why? Because we are so upside down. We've been in receivership since the 1930s. George Malone, a U.S. Senator who's concerning the families that own the Federal Reserve, quote, Federal Reserve is just as much America as Federal Express. It's a private corporation. It just sounds official. Federal Express, Federal Reserve. He said, I believe that the people of this nation fully understood what Congress has done to them over the last 49 years. They would move on Washington and they would not wait for an election. It adds up to a preconceived plan, a conspiracy, I might say, to destroy the economic and social independence of the United States. Henry Ford said of the Federal Reserve, which he's a part of this whole thing, it is well enough that the people of this nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe that there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. But nobody is going to rise up in this country. Everyone has been duped. They're sound asleep. Everyone's got their iPhones, their iPods, and their iMusic pouring into their brain day and night. Everyone is in a stupor in this country. You ain't getting it back, people. It's not coming back. You're not going to vote this thing out. It's all over with. Why? Because nobody has stood up and been counted on the right side. There are no statesmen left in America. They are all a Senate and a Congress full of who have sold their soul for the biggest dollar that they can get. They will pass anything put in front of them if they're bribed enough. And that's what's happened. Every one of them have been bribed. They pass laws that are the finger on us that they don't have to follow. That's them, ladies and gentlemen. These people are in Washington, D.C. And if there's one of them that's not, I invite them to come on the program and talk about it, because they'll readily recognize the prostitution, the cat house in Washington, D.C. that they're in. Every one of them are sold out. There's not an American left up there. But I don't know. I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Oh, my goodness. Oh, FDR to Colonel House. The real truth of the matter is, as you and I know, that a financial element in the large centers has owned the government of the U.S. since the days of Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson, 3 years after the Fed was given control of the U.S. economy, or the dollar, the quote, Woodrow Wilson, just as FDR said, from the days of Woodrow Wilson, we have been owned. The growth of the nation, Woodrow Wilson wrote, and all of our activities are in the hands of a few men. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government by conviction of the free vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of small groups of dominant men. I have unwittingly destroyed my country. I have destroyed my country because he was the one that allowed the Federal Reserve to come in. With everyone else going home, they got together the people they needed in Washington, D.C. to pass the laws, and Wilson let it happen. He destroyed America. It's over with, people. Huh. John Kennedy at Columbia University. The high office of the president has been used to foment a plot to destroy the Americans' freedom. Before I leave office, I must inform the citizen of his plight. 10 days later, he was shot. First act was to rescind the very thing that I have in my Bible. It's called the U.S. note. It's somewhere hidden in the pages. The U.S. note. U.S. note. This is not a Federal Reserve note. It's a U.S. note. Federal Reserve notes owned by the Federal Reserve System. A U.S. note, he put back a plan to take it away from the world bankers, and he was dead. And the first thing that Johnson did was he rescinded the U.S. note. Ladies and gentlemen, there are invisible, behind-the-scene personages who are the God of this world and working with the gods of this world. As the Prime Minister of England, Benjamin Disraeli, said, the world is governed by very different personages from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scenes. See, ladies and gentlemen, when Yeshua strips off the first seal and the angel shouts, go, not come, but go. Just a slight twist from the Greek language to understand what's going on, because then, one by one, we see what happens upon the earth as Yeshua strips Satan's authority in the heavens, and we see what plays out upon planet Earth. And one after another, we see Satan released in all of his fury because he knows that his time is short. You know, we could go on page after page after page of what we see as the Illuminati then works its way into the United States of America. And as we see the manifesto from Adam Weishaupt, who is the originator of the Illuminati. It was formed on May 1st, 1776, which is the Novus Ordo Seclorum. If you look at your Federal Reserve notes on the back, you'll see the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. And you will see the Novus Ordo Seclorum, the New World Order, right at the bottom of that image that is on there. And it was May 1st, 1776, and it has 1776 right on that Novus Ordo Seclorum. Remember, those notes were created after the U.S. is in receivership. And in 1930, Adam Weishaupt died, and in 1830 he died, and Giuseppe Mazzini took over as the Revolution Program Director. And it was in July 14th, 1889, Albert Pike, who was a genius, and he was the Religious Program Director of America. He sent the instructions to the 23 Supreme Councils of Freemasonry around the world, and I quote, "That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God who one adores without superstition. To you, sovereign grand instructors general, we say this, and you may repeat it to the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the higher degrees, maintained in the purity of the doctrine of Lucifer. Yes, Lucifer is God, the God of light and the God of good, and is struggling against Adonai, or Jesus, the God of darkness and evil." This is exactly who put together Illuminism and Masonry in the United States of America. And after that, there is no difference. The goal of the Illuminist and the satanic masters who have bowed the knee to Satan, their goal is to completely dominate the earth. And that rider on the white horse has been sent forth, conquering and to conquer, and they have a plan that is revealed in the stripping of each one of these seals. And so what we're going to do as we go into each one of these, we're going to take a look and see what is planned. What we can see happening not only in the world scene today, but what we are given the details in the book of the Revelation. See, Yeshua is going to destroy the entire New World Order. And it says why the entire system has to be completely destroyed and annihilated, because the rich men, the great men of the earth, are the merchants of Babylon. They're the ones that make the money of the world go round, and they deceive the entire world by their pharmakia. And this is what we see. Yeshua is saying that unless these days would be shortened, there would no flesh be saved. Now, do not be taken by surprise. The world has its plan, but the Almighty says he is going to laugh and have them in derision. We are on his side. He's not on ours. We need to get on his side and do his will. Yeshua said the gospel of the kingdom must be preached in all the world, and that is our job, and we will do it right to the bloody end. I'd like to pray. Yivarechecha Yehovah v'yishmerecha. Yair Yehovah panav elecha v'yichanecha. Yisa Yehovah panav elecha v'yisem lecha shalom. Hashem Yeshua HaMashiach Sar Shalom. Yehovah bless you and keep you. Have a great week. Have a blessed Sabbath. Lehitrot, we'll see you later. Shavua Tov, have a good week, and we'll see you back here for Shabbat Night Live. Whenever and wherever you are watching this broadcast, it represents hundreds of man-hours of production and post-production, and then it goes out to the world in several different languages. Why is this possible? It's because people like you support this ministry. We do our best to get this out freely to the entire world. Freely you have received. Now, this is your opportunity to do as Yeshua said, and freely give.